We're going to continue with Proverbs. And let me say before we get into this, this book of wisdom is not for, this book of wisdom is not for a teacher or a preacher or a reverend or a pastor to go over as if you're being accused of something. This book of Proverbs is for us to not only internalize, but to ask ourselves questions about ourselves. That's what it's for. It's not trying to throw off on somebody. You know, most of us are at a stage in life now. If we got something to say to a person, we're going to say it to them. So we don't need to take scripture and try to read people. I guess that's what some people are imagining what's going on. No, this is something for us to really consider, because most of us, if we're honest, we don't really know what to do. We don't really know how to feel about life right now. We don't know, or we're not sure. I mean, sitting here, we all look confident and sure that we got it all together. But the truth of the matter is, most of us don't have it together. But not everybody is willing to admit that, and you don't necessarily have to. But in going over Proverbs, it kind of, it will fortify your character, and it can chip away at your character, and hopefully the chipping away is in areas that need chipping away for all of us, because none of us are walking Torah out correctly. We may have days where we're right on point, but if you're not careful, you'll be so proud of yourself, the next day can be the exact opposite of the day you just experienced. So my hope is that as you read these things, as you listen to these things, that you'll ask yourself, each one of us will ask ourselves, do I have a tendency to do that? Because a lot of things that are brought out, a lot of us have these characteristics. And from a Hebraic perspective, when you come upon a situation that needs correcting, we're supposed to correct it, not excuse it, not justify it. You know, we really shouldn't do that. And we're not so old that we can't learn new things. We're not. The question is your heart willing to learn? And not only learn it, because again, learning in the United States, people think because they can repeat it back to you that they know it. That's not the type of learning I'm talking about. The learning I'm talking about is when it is demonstrated in your daily walk. That's pure and simple. You know, when we first started getting into this thing, what is it? To know is to do. So if you're not doing it, you don't know it, regardless of the fact that you can quote it backwards, forwards, sideways, in tongues, however. If you're not doing it, you don't know it. Don't care how many letters you got behind your name or in front of your name. If you're not doing it, you don't know it. And there's mercy in that, really, to tell you the truth. All right, 25. And I wasn't fussing. These are the Proverbs of Solomon. This is King James, which we're all familiar with. These are the Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. The heaven for height and the earth for depth, and the heart of the kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. And right there, you can also put in, take wickedness away from the presence of your leader. Whether it be a church, whether it be a business. My hope is that we all learn that we really need to not only be concerned about one another, but where appropriate and when appropriate. Some situations we can cut it off before it gets started. Removing wickedness from someone who has everybody's best interests at heart. Their atmosphere should be protected as best as possible. I mean, just like, when we were kids, certain friends you brought home, your parents might not have said anything. But certain friends you bring home, they may have some questions. Who was that? Now, depending on what type of parent you had, some would ask right then and there. Some would wait until the play date or whatever was over. And they may, I had a situation like that twice. Once with my father, once with my mother. And it made an impression. And in both cases, particularly with my dad, because you all know, he's generally not going to say anything negative anyway. But I never brought that young lady to the house again. And I mean, it startled me, I was like, huh? But I'm just saying, and I don't know what he saw. I didn't inquire, and he didn't ask in a rough manner or anything, but I knew, I was like, that's unusual. So I kind of let that go. And of course, I'm glad I did. The situation with my mother, I used to, say to her all the time, listen, you worry too much. And finally she broke it down. She said, listen, it's not so, listen, I'm not worried about what you'll do because she knew how we were brought up. She said, my concern is what the others that's in the group are capable of doing. And if you're with the group, you're going to get what they get. And so I stopped saying, you worry too much, and I started being more observant, and I started realizing it's not that important to be among the fellas all the time, particularly if the fellas are up to no good. Now, quiet is kept. Now, I've told you all, listen, was not a Boy Scout. Was not. But that resonated with me. And she also pointed out something to me. She said, you like to help people, but don't get down in the water with them because they'll drown you. They don't mean to. But see, a man drowning, you throw him an anvil, he's going to grab a hold to it. And of course, we know the anvil going to carry him down faster. And see, that's the way we need to be with one another. See, we use family a lot, but sometimes I ask the Most High, I said, do they really realize what they're saying when they say we're family? Because see, sometimes family have real conversations. And somebody that really loves you, they don't have to be brutally honest about it, but if you're with a knucklehead, it's best you find out early rather than get in so deep that you can't tell one from the other. And some of us, if we're honest, some of us were given good counsel. And we let our emotions or feelings or the moment or whatever, and I'm not saying it like it was nothing, because we've all been there. And it don't have to be about romance. It could be about business. It could be about, I don't know, studying for a test, or being working on a project in school. And, there's somebody in there, everybody like them and all, but they never do their part. Or they try to get you to do their part too, and plus what you got to do. And then you want to, and all of us, we want to be liked by people. So that's just, I just use myself, that's just Barry. We know Barry just, he's a lot of fun, but, he's not going to do his schoolwork. You see, saints, even something that sounds just that innocent, if you keep hanging around a guy like Barry, in that example, it's going to cost you. And if you have the kind of heart that you really want to help humanity, man, when you see the riffraff coming, you know, you ought to form a shield around them and say, no, you're not going to mess this up because this person is for everybody. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? That's the way we need to be about each other. When we know for a fact that that person is genuine. This thing about, well, I didn't want to say nothing because it wasn't my business. Yes, it was your business because you said we family. Mm. 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 Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. Put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. For better it is that it be said unto thee, come up hither, than that thou should be put lower in the presence of the prince whom thine eyes have seen. I've said on numerous times, some of us were sitting in somebody else's seat. Some of us were occupying a space that wasn't for us. And that kind of stuff just jacks stuff up. You know, sometimes, saints, we get impatient waiting on the Most High. And just about every one of us can point to a situation in our lives where we got kind of tired of waiting. And we just, well, I'm going to do this anyhow. Or I'm going to bring this to pass anyhow. And it just kind of falls flat. You know, I'm not asking anybody for a testimony now, but just think back. Just think back over some things. It could have been something that happened last week. I don't know. But you know, man, it's been so-and-so years. I'm tired of waiting. Guy or girl, okay? And then we'd say, man, if only I had waited. I got a theme for a movie that I want to see if I can sell to Hollywood. And it's basically about a concept about somebody that's had been waiting, and so they made their own way, because there is a school of thought. Some people say, hey, you got to make your own way. And I'm not going to say that that's totally false, but you got to be careful when you start making your own way. But I just... And basically the theme of the movie would be, if I had waited, then it shows how that person's life went. And then it shows, of course, the way it went with them making all the moves themselves. I don't know how they would end up with an ending in the thing, but I think it would be really interesting, and I think that people could watch it and then look at their own life and say, you know, this hitting kind of close to home. And this movie would be for church folk and non-church folk, because it's about life. Of course, I have to punch it up a little bit, you know, but I think that concept, I mean, have any of you, and don't answer, but have any of you, just think about it, have any of you ever had days where you thought about that, said, you know, if I hadn't done this, how might my life have turned out? Am I the only, am I the only person that have days like that? You know, and then I really get mad because I said, if I hadn't listened to this preacher, and it's not their fault. A lot of times they was teaching what they were taught, you know. But it still don't make me feel no better. So, you know, I want to hit somebody. What, I hit myself? And I'm not sharing that to say that, you know, we should feel down or whatever, because some moves we made were good moves. Maybe it wasn't good at the time, but as time went on, you got confirmation you made the right move. But boy, does it hurt after a lot of time, and then you realize, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? And I always like to say, when people ask that, I say, you weren't thinking. And I wasn't saying that like, because I said the same thing about myself. When I said, what was I thinking? I said, well, you weren't thinking. That's why, you knucklehead. That's how I talk to myself. I wouldn't recommend that for you. But listen, I'm not standing up here saying we'll never make mistakes, because we will. But saints, we shouldn't be making the same type of mistakes over and over and over. When are we going to learn? You know, and we all know insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different. It's going to be different this time. No, it's not. No, you can't plant apple seeds and expect to get pears. You're going to get apples. And if you're going fishing and it's all catfish, then you need to fish in a different pond. Don't think you go, I'm not really a fisherman, but I don't believe, if catfish in there, you're not going to get trout, you're not going to get flounder, you're not going to get salmon, are you? Boo? Okay. But a fisherman know where to fish. You know, we talk about evangelism, you know, which is, you know, a fancy tool that churches have come up with. That's what it is, just another program. And a lot of times our program, I wonder, why don't we ever go to affluent neighborhoods? I asked that years ago, before all this foolishness went down with all the other stuff. But I did. I said, hey, listen. Of course, y'all know me anyway. But I wonder why churches pick certain neighborhoods to go canvass in. What are you saying about those people? Oh, you saying because somebody live better than you that they don't need the Most High? Yes, they do. They need him too. And you might get surprised. They may can tell you more about him than what you know. Again, maybe we're fishing in the wrong ponds. Or maybe we need to fish in different ponds. Well, yes, kind of uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable, maybe that's not the right technique. Just saying. For it is better that it be said unto thee, come up hither, that thou shouldest be put lower in the presence of the prince with whom thine eyes have seen. Go not hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame. We'll hear another translation, but I'm going to get through this too, because this is what we're all familiar with. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another, lest he that heareth it put thee to shame, and thine infamy turn not away. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. Now that's pretty good. You can understand that. As an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. An obedient ear. You know, saints, sometimes, you know, our parents have taught us well enough, hey, listen, when somebody's talking, don't cut across them. And so we don't. But instead of really listening intently to what they're saying, you're waiting for their voice to stop so that you can throw your point out. I mean, a lot of us are that way, you know. And so we're really, you know, when that exchange happens like that, you're not effectively communicating with one another. We really aren't. And that's why a lot of times teachers and preachers will say, now what did I just say? Because they want to make sure you heard them. You know, and then, you know, when one of them do it, then somebody, oh, that look good. Then everybody want to do it. Then what did I just say? What did I just say? Hurry up, man, I got to go to lunch. Oh boy! A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. An earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold. So is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. See, if we really believe that we're in the image of the Most High, then you'll realize that that person might have something of value to say, even if you don't particularly care for them. Or they for you, for that matter. See, we got to show love regardless of how we feel. And that's why being a believer is tough sometimes. Because you really, well, I'll just stick to myself because I ain't going to get mad at me. You know, sometimes I want to get them. I want to get them. Then I'll repent. Well, my repenting is bogus because I enjoy getting them. Get up here and stand there. Oh, you need to stop that kind of stuff. Again, like I said before, if you don't mean it, don't say it. Don't do that. That kind of plastic, polite talk, that's not helping the person. And there's a scripture in Proverbs where it talks about, and we'll get to it. I'll just save it. But saints, let's begin to be more real with each other. Let's be mature now, and let's be wise when we do this. I'm not talking about being brutally honest. Walk up to somebody, you know, I think you ugly. No, I'm not talking about that. That's just your opinion. But I'm talking about thinking that, well, I gotta say something. No, you don't. If you don't feel it, if you really don't mean it, don't say it. And I've told you before, if there's anything I can do, hey. And nowadays, when you say that to somebody, a lot of people are gonna take you up on it. And they talk about that in here also. These are things that we do, and we might not even be aware that we're doing them. And we need to kind of sweep that stuff out. As the coal of snow in the time of harvest, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him. For he refresheth the soul of his masters. Whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain. By long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomit it. You know, a lot of us, we like, you know, not so much now, but back in the day, you know, our idea was, if I'm going to pay for all you can eat, I'm going to eat till I hurt myself. You know, we've been there. I'm going to get my money's worth. I mean, you know, we do that. I mean, you do, you know, y'all remember Captain George? I used to take my godchildren, when I had something bad to talk to them about, I'd take them, I said, you pick wherever you want to go, we'll go. You know, I think I shared this with y'all, and I set them up. Because they think, oh, man. Because they all think, you know, hey, great guy. He going to take me to dinner or lunch or whatever. Pick. And they get in there, I said, look here now. Because they all used to always, it was the one in Williamsburg. That's where they always wanted to go. And I said, well, yeah, hey, we can go there. Then we, you know, you sit at the table first, then I think they bring you your plate or whatever. Hey, we can do this. And I tell them, I said, listen, don't get no bread. And don't drink a whole lot of drink, because you're going to get full up. I said, now you go for whatever meat they got over there. I said, because, I mean, I don't mind paying, but my thing was, I feel like I got to get my money's worth. Now, I was eating a lot of sweets and stuff. But the gist of the matter was, I had that same attitude. Now, I want to tell them what to get. Now, if I'm going to take them to dinner or I'm going to take them to lunch, they ought to be able to eat whatever they want. Now, I'll be honest. If they get in there and just get a bunch of rolls and drinking water, I'm mad because I got to pay the same thing. You know, I mean, nowadays, though, you know, because it used to be self-serve, but nowadays everybody's so germ conscious, you kind of stay away from them places. You know, what, Golden Corral? I mean, are they still operating? Okay. All right, but you go up there and them little boys got a runny nose and they put oh, that's all right. But getting back to the story, I was setting them up. I would let them go up there and get that, and then they would be eating. And I said, yeah, man, how things going, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I had a conversation with your parents. And then I just kind of lay it out. And then at first they eating happy. Barry's a great guy. Happy. And then when I start laying the thing out, they just eating slower and slower. But I didn't want to ruin their meal. But I was like, hey, you know, this is kind of serious here. You know, your folks, you know, they've given you everything. You know, so why are you doing this? You know, we work it out. we go ahead and, I share with them what I got to share with them, and then we go back to eating. But this is what happens. See, the word begin to get out. Because I don't want to call their name because y'all might know some of them. But another one of my godchildren said, yeah, hey, he want to take me out to lunch. And one that had went through that said, don't do it. Said, don't go. That's what he said. He said, no. He said, I don't know what you done, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to go with him. I said, well, now see, that was messed up. Because I was getting them, I was weighing them out. Because they was willingly, yeah, Saturday, 1 o'clock. Yeah, I'm coming to pick you up. We're going to have a good time. What I just described to you all was a type of evangelism. That's evangelism. Dealing with people on a daily basis, not with the, do you know the Lord? And then at one time they had one that looked like I think a $20 bill or a $10 bill. Man, I remember my dad told me one time he gave a man one. And the guy, of course, when he first saw it, he thought it was a real $10 or whatever, $20. And my dad said when the man saw that it was just a track, he started crying. And that made an impact on my dad. Now, I was surprised he didn't reach in his pocket and give him $100. I don't know what he did, but he said he didn't give out any more of those. And I said to myself, good. See, sometimes the church come up with programs, and they're not only not effective, because let me tell you something. Most people will tolerate you if you tell them you're going to give them something. Most. Now, there's some people like, no, if I got to come hear you teach or preach, that's all right. But, we're supposed to be big in evangelism. Listen, if you got time, because that's what it takes. Evangelism takes some of your time and a little bit of your money, but if we become skillful at it, it'll take more of your time than your money. When you get real good at it, you're going to need a little money to prime the pump. Even in the yeshivas, they used to give the kids, honey before they start teaching them. So that they would equate the word of God with something sweet. You're going fishing, you need the right kind of bait. If you're going fishing for people, you need the right kind of bait. A few extra dollars in your wallet. Don't take them to McDonald's. But if that's all you got, and they got nothing, that's a gourmet meal. But pulling over, asking somebody, are you holding that sign for real, or are you just holding that sign to get money? Because I don't see any more will work for food signs anymore. I don't see it. Because I will pull over and say, hey, I got some grass you can cut. And I've never had anybody take me up on it. I'm like, well, man, you need to get another sign. So I don't see any more of those. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited. Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee and so hate thee. Now, that's pretty plain. Folks, I kept telling you, don't bum rush people. Stay out of people's personal space. People think I'm antisocial. No, I'm sharing these things because this is what cultivates an atmosphere where people want you to come closer. Only come closer when you've been invited to do so. This thing about I just take what I want, you're going to get popped. Stop doing that. It's not cute. You make people uncomfortable. And nobody should be made to feel uncomfortable, particularly in the house of God. And that's not an accusation. I've seen it. I've seen this thing happen. And it's not cute. It's actually sickening. It's irritating. And it's really dishonest and deceptive. A man that bears false witness against his neighbor is a maul and a sword and a sharp arrow. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. I know the women say, oh, yes, it is. But that can go the other way, too. As he taketh away a garment in cold weather, and as vinegar upon nitre, so is he that singeth songs to an heavy heart. I was talking with one of the brothers last week, and he had gone through, he had loss. He had loss in his family. And he said something that I thought was very interesting, and immediately my mind went back to that. He said, most people's tendency is to try to make you feel better right away. He said, I didn't want to feel better right away. I wanted to experience in full the loss. I said to myself, now that's a man there. Because most of us, I don't want no kind of hurt, no kind of way, take it far from me. But he said, no, I didn't want to be cheered up. And see, a lot of times here again, us meaning well, we probably go to a person with a whole bunch of scriptures that we memorized, and the person's like, see, they're being nice when they don't tell you, could you leave me, please? We would get our feelings hurt if somebody said that. But what if that's really where they were at? Why would we rob somebody? See, that's a personal, private moment, folks. You don't come rushing in like the cavalry, because that's what other churches do. That kind of thing is for people that really don't know or don't have very few interpersonal skills. We got a lot to learn, man, about how you really love people. And remember, it's about them, it's not about you. Oh, boy. And here's the one we all know real well. Iron and oh, no, that's another. That's in 27. We'll get that later. Let me go to this other translation, because this one will really speak to us. I mean, King James did a pretty good job with that. Listen to this. God gets glory from concealing things. Kings get glory from investigating things. Like the sky for height or the earth for depth is the heart of kings unfathomable. Remove the impurities from the silver, and the smith has material to make a vessel. And that's how we want to be. We want to be silver that has had the impurities removed out of our lives. But only our Maker can do that. Only our Maker can do that. Now, we can help one another to some degree, but to get all that stuff out, it's going to take the one that made you. Remove the wicked from the king's presence, and his throne will rest firmly on righteousness. So again, I'm saying, if you got some friendships that, you know, if you got some friendships that make your loved ones a little uncomfortable, you need to think about that. Don't just blow it off. Y'all don't know nothing. Yeah, they do know something. Something smells. And maybe you've become nose blind because your personal space has been invaded. Oh, boy. Don't put yourself forward in the king's presence. Don't take a place among the great. For it is better to be told, come up here, than be degraded in the presence of a nobleman. You've seen concerts, particularly church concerts. And if it's somebody who everybody got it, folks come in, see that reserve sign, gonna sit right there. Then, you know, the mega churches, they'll have to make an announcement. They'll tell people, don't save seats. Because you got some people that think they just sold all of that. Get in there, y'all get in there early because I'm getting my hair did and my nails did. Save me a seat. And you just heard the people say, you can't save seats. Give the ushers a time and a half. And then here come Miss Prissy, 45 minutes late. And now she mad because her friends, which they should have been, they got put out. Now can't nobody go to the concert. I didn't make that up. That actually happened for real. And I'm not going to say that at the name of the church. But we used to go there. Why do we do stuff like that? See, Proverbs touches on stuff like that. What your eyes have seen, don't rush to present in a dispute. For what will you do later on if your neighbor puts you to shame? Discuss your dispute with your neighbor, but don't reveal another person's secrets. You know, somebody tell you something in confidence. Well, I only told one person. And then that one person only told one person. And so on and so on. And I tell people, you got a secret? Best thing to do, don't tell nobody. Don't tell anybody. That way, it's a secret. Because depending on the maturity level of the person, I guarantee you, they get mad enough at you, they're going to tell it. At the worst moment. We shouldn't do that. 8 minutes. Discuss your dispute with your neighbor, but don't reveal another person's secrets. If you do, and he hears of it, he will disgrace you, and your bad reputation will stick. See, that's why I like this version here. It's hard to misunderstand that. You gotta put forth some effort to not get that. And again, ask yourself, have I done that to somebody? Don't answer, just ponder it and say, well, yeah, and when they found out, I felt so bad. Well, did you feel bad enough not to ever do it again? Or did you only feel bad enough, I'll never do that to them again? Same thing, even in repentance. Donnie, I'm so sorry. When in reality, Donnie, I'm so sorry you found out I said blah, 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 blah about you. See, I wasn't really sorry for what I said. I'm just sorry he found out. I am sorry. That's a sorry individual that thinks that way. Again, let's stop giving those type of apologies. Because they're not worth 2 cents. If that's what you're doing, please, let's stop that. That's not helping matters. Because in this version it said, and your bad reputation will stick. Like apples of gold in settings of silver is a word appropriately spoken. Like a gold earring, like a fine gold necklace, is a wise reprover to a receptive ear. I mean, sometimes, saints, we can get so upset with a person or about a situation, we don't want to hear anything. And sometimes we got to fight that. We got to fight that because right at that moment, that might be when we really need to quiet our heart and just listen. I'm not saying it like it's easy. But when we just give over to our emotions, I'm so angry I could do this, or I'm so happy I agreed to it. That's another thing. Have you ever been so deliriously happy you agreed to do something that you really didn't want to do because you were so happy? And then when you return to yourself, you say, why did I promise them I was going to do that? Even if it's something like, well, I'm going to make the potato salad. You know they don't make the best potato salad. They just think they make the best potato salad. So, yes, Greg, you can bring the potato salad. I just use Greg because I don't think he could get mad at me. Let's watch that. Or the other way, sometimes we get righteously indignant. That's wrong. I'll take you to D.C. shopping myself. That was wrong for them to do that. When am I going to find the time? And it talks about not getting in another person's fight when it ain't your fight. Talks about that too. And that's sometimes as saints we go, that ain't right. You ain't got the whole story and you in that swinging. I mean, on one hand, I applaud you for sticking up for your friends, but we got to be careful. But hey, look, if nothing else, just try to break it up. But That's tall words coming from somebody that got in a fight trying to break up a fight. That happened. So again, easier said than done. 3 minutes. Not going to get very far. Like the coldness of snow in the heat of the harvest is a faithful messenger to the one who sends him. He refreshes his master's spirit. And when I read that, I said, you know, there are some days, saints, we just want to put a smile on his face. You know, we just want to put a smile. It's like, you know, we probably think that he doesn't get disappointed. I kind of believe he does. I know he gets disappointed in but I think he gets disappointed with us sometimes. I do. Now, maybe not. I mean, he might, boy, you talking out of school. And if so, Father, I apologize. But I know with me, it's been there. Because I get disappointed with myself sometimes. Because sometimes I think, I thought I was a little more mature than that. I thought I was over that. Yeah, man. You got some more growing to do. And I need to gain some weight. Greg said, I wanted to tell you that, but I ain't, you know, again, he was trying to spare my feelings. My appetite is coming back, so I'm going to put these pounds back on because I'm not buying no whole new wardrobe. I can't. No. I'm going to get there. 1 minute. I'm going to finish with this last one, and then we'll pick up the next time I have the honor of seeing you all. Listen to this. Like clouds and wind that bring no rain is he who boasts of gifts he never gives. You ever run into somebody, Nelly, I'm going to do something real nice for you. Nelly be saying, you said that a month ago. You know, I mean, I know sometimes we see one another and it's just a joy, but don't go overboard. Again, if you don't mean it, don't say it. Because if I keep doing that, after a while she'll say, cousin, don't say that no more. Or she might go home and say, Marvin, why do Barry keep saying he gonna do this, that, and he ain't done nothing? And see, akin to that is the same thing as somebody asks you to do something. You go, yeah, I'm going to do it. You can count on me. And we don't do it. And we get so used to doing it, we don't think about it. After we say, oh, I forgot. This morning, I'm going to close. No, Friday morning, I had to be in Emporia at 9 a.m. Both guys are supposed to help me. I said, man, we got to get in there early because we had 2 buildings to do. And then I had to go to Emporia and then come by Stony Creek. I had 2 locations to get in there. I go to pick up one fella. He's at his dad's house. I'm at his girlfriend's place. So then I call the next guy. I'm saying, man, I got to be in, what you call him in there? Well, I'm coming. Hour and a half later, I fell asleep. So I got down there in a good enough time. But folks, sometimes people counting on you. Sometimes people counting on you. And see, sometimes if you continue to be nice about it, people don't think twice. After they tell you, no, I ain't coming, because they know, well, he ain't going to do nothing no way. He ain't going to get mad. And that's part of the reason why I tell you, I'm not trying to be nice anymore. I have to be kind. Being nice has a whole different connotation for me. Just like family, for me. God bless you.